So hello and welcome to Scotland's Centre of Expertise for Plant Health in the International Year of Plant Health. We're here today to introduce our key principles to help minimise plant health risks to Scotland. And the idea today is to have a conversation about these key principles, firstly giving a little background about where they've been developed in the first place, then saying something about what we hope they can do for you and giving some examples. So if we can start with you, Chris, could you say something about the key principles and how they came about?
Yeah, indeed. We used to sample views from our colleagues as to what they really wanted from the Plant Health Centre. And some of them said that the real proliferation of advice is just very confusing. And so what we thought we'd try and do is distill the essence of all the advice and knowledge we've got from different land uses into a set of 5 key principles that will have some resonance for everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe we should move straight on to those principles. And there are 5. The first one is source plants with care. Pete, could you say something about that, please?
Yeah, and the example I'll draw on here is from the horticultural industry. So horticultural industry is characterized by a huge diversity of material in trade and a corresponding diversity of material sources and destinations. And there's good evidence that sudden oak death, Phytophthora ramorum, has been moved to new countries on ornamental plants for planting. So it's moved from nurseries into gardens and then from gardens into forests. So careful attention to sourcing plants is important. And this is true for individual consumers purchasing plants for gardens. And reputable suppliers will have clear processes for minimizing risks for pests and pathogens. And buying from such companies is a way that everyone can play their part in promoting plant biosecurity.
So thank you, Pete. If I take the next one, which is keep it clean, and in all aspects of plant health, keep it clean is very important. Hygiene is important in all plant health issues. For example, soil on machinery or pots and storage, and pots that are transport, when you're transporting plants, should always try and keep it as clean as possible. But maybe the most obvious example is when you go into the countryside and you walk into woods and forests, for example, and you should always make sure that you clean your boots and clean your bikes so that you're not spreading an invisible disease or pest from one area to another. So always try and keep things clean. If we go to the next principle, which is plan now for future challenges. Chris, can you take that one?
Yeah, I can. And forestry and tree growing is obviously a very long-term endeavour. And what we've got to think about is the challenges that will be facing those trees that we're planting now as they get to young and middle age and old age. And I think increasingly we understand that climate change is a threat to the growth of trees, and the sort of compound nature of mixing stresses from climate with diseases and pests can be a problem. So taking a broad view of the future and thinking about that rather than just what will work today, what will work next month, seems like a good basis.
Great, thanks very much. And our last principle, our 4th principle is embed plant health in policies and practice. And Fiona, could you say something for that, please?
Yes, Ian. So I think the example there would be around integrated pest management, which is a way of sustainably managing plant health diseases. And we see that starting to be embedded in policies around national action plans, reducing reliance on pesticides. We see it in the way we can start to register alternatives to pesticides like the biopesticides. And then also the way it's embedded in quality assurance schemes, where there's now a market for sustainably produced crops, for example. And so the practices that are documented around that record the integrated control measures that people can take. And that really supports our plant health principles, but in a very sustainable way.
Thanks, Fiona. The last principle, number 5, is stay aware. Understanding and awareness of plant health threats. And maybe it's something that we can all take. So does anybody want to start with that one?
Well, from for crops, Ian, very much the staying aware of what diseases are present that season. Even things as simple as crop walking and reading the technical press are very much about staying on top of the immediate issues. I'm sure the others of you will have longer term awareness issues to raise.
Yeah, I think that seasonality is an important one. Knowing what to look for at particular times of year is something that we've started to emphasize. And the other thing we've experienced is just unexpected threats. So I think Pete mentioned Phytophthora ramorum, and the jump that made to larch and the death it causes there was completely unexpected. So keeping aware of what's the latest threat and the latest knowledge on those threats seems like a good principle.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, and in general, there are so many different people, so many different sources, so many different industries that all have a part to play in plant health. And I guess a key statement in all of this is let's avoid there being plant health problems caused by ignorance, and ensure that information is effectively mobilized, so with awareness appropriate actions can be taken.
Okay, so thanks for listening. We hope this has been useful, and be sure to contact the Plant Health Centre for further information. And if we can help you in any way to put the key principles in the practice, please do get in touch. Thank you and bye-bye.